Welcome to Jurassic Park.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
I'm just a fucked up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind.
Welcome to the party, pal.
I'll be back.
I'll have what she's having.
Death has come to your little town, Sheriff. You can either ignore it, or you can help me to stop it.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello, I'm your host, Jim McLean. Welcome back to another episode of More Than Pixels on a Screen, a spoilerific movie review podcast brought to you by Banterflix, cinematic discussion with a Northern Irish accent. I'm Jim McDonald, so I am. And this week, listeners, because it's Halloween. Ooh. We have a spooky themed episode that is technically an unplanned ramble. We're going to be honest right from the get-go. We toyed with the idea, let's talk about our favourite cinematic witches, because we're showing not one, not two, but three witchy themed movies during this year's Dark Ages International Film Festival. But that didn't come to plan. We talked about just doing Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, because we're showing that film.
And boobies.
And boobies. That didn't come to plan. So, listeners, Adam and I, as of 2 minutes before this record button was pressed, have no idea what we're going to talk about. We have a general idea on the sense of we're going to discuss the last movie or movies that have generally scared you, left a lasting brown stain on your underwear through watching. And so we're going to see where we go. And we also have some special guests popping in with some spooky stories.
And they might turn up just unannounced at any time, so prepare for that.
And they might be the worst stories you've ever heard.
And they might just be made up on the spot.
Yeah, but you're going to have to wait and see. I have a lack of sleep because last night was the opening night of the Dark Ages International Film Festival. I have to give it its full title every time. And listeners, just to give you an insight of how that night went, here's myself and the lovely Joe McElroy doing a little bit of singing and the bopping at our Witches Disco afterwards. So here we go. So that's the lovely Joe McElroy. He was in fine form last night. So anyway, Joe's not here. The arspert is out hunting the streets of Belfast for the best arses in Halloween costumes. So I'm joined, as usual, by my lovely co-host, Adam, I love give my headpiece, Neeson.
Mervyn! Show me your ears, Mervyn. I will get on that podcast.
We're determined. So I'll be very disappointed if you get on that podcast and they're like, no, I don't want Jim. Don't want Jim.
But, like, do you like Give My Headpiece? Hold on. You never did do your Uncle Andy impression?
I can't. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm dosed with the cold, listeners. I don't. Can I do an Uncle Andy? See, give me an Uncle Andy first.
Yeah. Dibner, where's my sash? That's what he would say.
I don't think there's any need for me to do one. Let me think. What was the son called? What was that? No,
Billy.
Billy. My son Billy's a peeler.
That's not bad. On the range of how good the Banterflix Uncle Andy impressions are.
It's kind of like, if you listen to Give My Headpiece, if you watch Give My Headpiece, you would know who that character was. Billy! Oh, for fuck's sake. And listeners, I'm going to tell you now, right from the get-go as well, I'm very tired. And as I said, we had our opening night of the festival, so I'm also coming to you through the power of Red Bull.
Not sponsored, but if you want.
Not sponsored. And because I am clinging to the year that was, it's the summer edition. You can smell the chemicals. So
Red Bull gives you spinning.
So Adam, we are recording this just the week before Halloween. This episode will drop on Halloween night itself, on Halloween on the 31st, if my plans for editing.
This episode?
Yes, this
that's
episode.
wild.
This episode will drop. We've had our Disney Halloween Town episode. That was just by myself, the lovely Victoria Brown and Maria McQuillan. The Disney pods are back. That was a nice get together, talking about Disney. Victoria was hosting with the lovely Maria, and I was just there talking nonsense. Talking nonsense. Are you a fan of Halloween Town?
That's dog shit. I'm not, sorry to the ladies, but what a film. Debbie Reynolds, obviously an incredible woman. But as soon as that film starts, my fucking eyes start rolling in the back of my head.
So you've no interest in watching either of the two sequels?
I've seen them.
Have you?
Yeah.
So we talked about this on pod, that we hadn't seen them and we were maybe tempted to watch them. I'm going to guess from your response, don't bother.
Halloween Town 2, I think that's what it's called, or Back to Halloween Town, whatever it's called.
The Search for Curly's Gold.
It feels like an episode of the Power Rangers because
You're selling that to me.
the mayor is back. Spoilers for the first Halloween Town, but the mayor is back and fucking.
This time it's personal.
It feels like they were like, we have 40p, and what can we film in a week?
Well, what could we at 40p? What could we film in a week? Christmas special coming soon. There was a charm to it. Well, I think I just said at the time, listen to previous pod, I just was not of the right age. And I can kind of see why a nice little gateway drug into horror, because even Fright Club and I picked Halloween Town as their last pick of the screams, purely because I forced them to.
Oh, that's fair enough.
Purely because Gav came to me and said, I've got this other choice. What streamer is it on? Oh, no, you can just rent or buy it. It's like, I'm sorry, Gav. We are sticklers for the rules. It has to be available to stream on not a social media platform, on a streaming platform. And he kind of went back and said, what about Halloween Town? It's like, perfect. So, I'm sorry, Gav. I can't remember what the other one he wanted us to suggest. But anyway, so, movies that scared you. And I know regular listeners of this pod, I'm going to try my best throughout this episode not to go over Ghostbusters 2, Ghostwatch. Those would be the two ones. If you ask me straight away, what is the last time you remember being absolutely shit yourself, scared? Ghostwatch, when that aired on BBC. I've talked about it before. I've interviewed the director, and anytime I bring it up, I know we brought it up during Haunted Ulster Live when we were discussing that in the pod. That genuinely terrified me because I didn't understand when I was watching it. Was 33. No, it wasn't. I think I was about 9 or 8. I think I worked it out. I would have been 8 when it was out. That it was fake, and that sense that you can't come. You think there's Michael Parkinson. Holy shit, Michael Parkinson has been possessed by pipes.
Why is he trying to sell me a Parker pen?
Parky's dead.
No, do you remember Michael Parkinson used to do the thing for life?
I thought you were kind of like saying as you were walking into the studio here, you were like, Michael Parkinson was just standing around there going, here, don't I buy a Parky pen? It's like, fuck, he's been dead, he's doing good.
Do you not remember the life insurance?
Yeah, of course I do, yeah.
You could get a free pocket pen just
I'm
for
Michael
inquiring.
Parkinson. My best friend's Billy Connolly.
Do you not think, I don't know if I spoke about this in the podcast, do you know when they were like, oh, we have Parker pens?
Yeah.
Do you think somebody was like, did you say Parkinson's? And they're like, get Michael Parkinson's. He'll sell Parker pens.
Did they ever get Parker from Thunderbirds
to do the advert?
Yeah.
This is a visual joke, but you could get a pocket pen. I was pretending to be a puppet, guys.
Yeah, it works. It works in medium. So yeah, you probably would have caught Ghostwatch post the controversy, because I mean, I know we've talked about it before. I mean, there was I hate the term moral panic, but there was outrage that the BBC had duped a nation, in the sense that even though they introduced it, this is now a drama from whatever the production company was, Ghostwatch, and there was a phone number on screen, and the phone number when you rang it said, this is not a live programme, this is a dramatisation. But the simple fact was, and it's not overselling it, in the sense that much like the War of the Worlds, Orson Welles broadcast, which I think has been oversold, particularly by Orson Welles.
It's always got that photo of him like screaming into the microphone.
Yeah.
And it's
I think he played into that.
Yeah.
That sense of, it caused a moral panic, a panic across the States when it went out as a radio broadcast. for some, yes, maybe not bringing everything to a standstill, but Ghost Watch, and I guess we always talk about this, there is that sad sense that there was a young man who was dealing with mental health issues, with his mental health, who committed suicide 3-4 weeks after that broadcast, and more or less alluded to the fact that it was Pipes, Mr. Pipes. So, I mean, I know I joke and talk about that shitting myself at the time. I've talked about this before. And I love the way I said, I don't want to really talk about this. We're going to move a bit of things. But genuinely, Adam, dear listeners, picture the scene. So I don't know what it's like. Are you a pumpkin turnip carver in your house? Do you like every year get a little jack-o'-lantern?
You just call me a Protestant. Kind of, yes. I used to work in a shop that sold groceries, and one of them was pumpkins at Halloween. And there was one.
I like the way you're making it out like it maybe only sold like 2 or 3 different types of.
We sold pumpkins and turnips. The shop was called the Turnip Pumpkin Store.
Pump and turn.
And we had stacks of pumpkins in the back storeroom, and they all went off. And the boss said, "Can you move them?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And as soon as I picked it up, I put my fist right through a rotten pumpkin. And since that day, I refused to even acknowledge a pumpkin.
Did you do, because I'm a child, did you do the Street Fighter 2 Hadouken? You did it?
It kind of sounded like that when whatever came out of my mouth.
For fuck's sake. Oh, imagine someone clipping it. Here's a wee movie review show. Must listen to this for the first time. What the fuck's he talking about pumpkins? What's that got to do with Wes Craven and all these things, Halloween? What's the point they're going to talk about Michael Myers? But, yeah, so the reason why I asked this, so every year since I've been young, I grew up in a turnip house. We weren't one of them, like, in them classy American, but we're from County Tyrone folk, good old country. Tyrone, near my wee Martin Scorsese impersonation here. But,
impersonation?
Yeah. It doesn't sound anything like him when he's actually in the studio.
Well,
maybe, Joe, I'll prove it. I'll give him a text and see if I can get him down to the studio here. Hang on. Marty, recording just round the corner. Could you maybe pop in? We'll see. Okay. See if he comes in. But we didn't do pumpkins. It was always turnips, and that's where it kind of came from, because it's stingy jacks, something Jack. I know it's jack-o'-lantern, but there is a traditional Irish ghost story. I think it's Stingy Jack, or
I watched The Curse of Bridge Hollow recently, and they did it.
Right.
Doesn't mean I'm going to give you an answer.
Okay, message in, and of course it was always turnips. So we had the turnip, and the turnip always on Halloween night got set, because I would have sat and watched, I'd love to say, like, fucking, like, Halloween, Hellraiser. I was watched something spooky on Halloween. Dad would have sat in the kitchen after work, or if it was the weekend. Mum was always working at the Ulster American Folk Park. She wasn't here. So Halloween night, we'd have sat and watched, and of course this year, Ghost Watch was on.
Sorry, just to go back, your mum worked in the Ulster American Folk Park?
Yeah.
Was she the lady that made the soda breads?
She probably did make soda breads at some point, yeah.
I probably met your mum.
She just was like, actually, hang on a minute, I'm having this flashback to my mum coming back to, I was this wee lad just walking about the place, and when I said to him, do you want a wee bit of soda bread? He's like, well,
do you get any butter dip now?
Yeah. So, I vividly remember that. But so, Mum was working at the Ulster American Folk Park. They do Halloween stuff. I used to do it as well when I got a bit older. Nice wee earner before Christmas. And that night, I'd made the jack-o'-lantern, set it on top of the TV. Ghost Watch was on. And I must have made a mistake with, or not mistake, I must have cut the mouth too low. Mm-hmm. So, this night when the jack-o'-lantern had been made, set on top of the TV, repeat myself, apologies, we had a red candle. And of course, during Ghost Watch, I vividly remember, all hell was breaking loose, and all this stuff was going on. People were phoning, going, "There's all this stuff happening in people's home." There's like this guy talking. There's a phone call where some guy says, "My walls are bleeding," and I'm not sure at that exact point, but the wax started running down the TV screen. Of course, it was red wax, so I shit myself up. I remember running around to my dad, and Dad was like, going, "What's wrong?" So there's blood on the TV. And like, Dad was like, came around and was like, "What the fuck have you done with that jack-o'-lantern? Just fucking baiting the fuck. What the fuck have you done?" Like the Homer Simpson. I didn't do them, but that was lovely that way. But never left a mark. But he, I shouldn't make jokes about that. But yeah, I have that vivid memory of that, and that is a genuine time when I remember watching something being petrified. And I guess we've talked about this before, maybe off the pod or just generally with people. People who love horror, they tend to be lovely people.
Yeah.
There's some, of course, everything. There's always the odd arsehole doing this, that. But horror folk, I tend to think, are lovely. And they tend to want to find, they've had that one movie or TV show or book that has petrified them. And it's like a drug of sort. You're craving that feeling again.
Yeah, you'll watch even the shittest horror film just for the tinge of something that might be great.
Yeah. Have you anything like that? That properly, when you think back, is like, Jesus.
I remember my granny used to live in the Short Strand in Belfast, and that's where we would go like trick-or-treating and stuff. Mm-hmm. And behind her house, just down a bit, there was like 4 claw marks in the bricks on the ground, right? And the kids used to be like, "That's Freddy Krueger." Freddy Krueger's there. So I remember the night of like one of the Halloweens where it was like pitch black and there was like weird noises, and I said to my cousin Sarah, I was like, "Come on, we'll go around the back and try and find Freddy Krueger's thing." But where I thought it wasn't. So whenever we went around the back, and I was like, "Here's Freddy Krueger." It's gone. Freddy Krueger's came.
It's good.
Freddy Krueger. Of course, I was wearing a leather jacket and a mustache, and my hair slicked down. It's good, sir.
We comical. Empty, your dad drank it for you. We think of the Tennant Special Brew.
Oh.
Or are you old enough to remember when Tennants did like scantily clad ladies on their tins?
I'm almost certain. Isn't there an episode of Get My Headpiece where
we've become full meta,
where they drink and they mention the women?
Possibly. I never drunk Tennants when I was young, but I used to remember. It's like, I don't know if it's a coming of age thing, where we would have found when we had our caravan in Clocky, we would have found empty tins. There's ladies of this stinking tin. It's like, beer that's empty. It's like, oh, there's a lady on it. It's like the sense that you used to find copies of like the Daily Sport in trees.
Yeah. I used to buy
Daily Sport.
I did whenever I was in high school. I would buy Daily Sport. I would buy Front magazine. Do you remember that? Because it was emo girls. I was starting to find myself. And Nuts, because it was like the only like, but it was like, isn't this risque? Like, I had the internet. I could have looked at boobs at any time.
It was dial-up though.
It was dial-up. You would have to. Someone would have porn on their phone, and you'd be like, "Infrared that to me, infrared that," and you put the phone side by side, and the school bell would ring, and be, "Don't move, I'll not get the file." Kids don't know what it's like these days.
No, none of this fibre optic, super duper broadband. The trials and tribulations. What time you going to watch this movie? Well, it says here download in about 4 hours. So I'll go have a wee bath before then. But no, I remember you used to find like copies of the Daily Sport in bushes. Just where I hung out. And I just kind of wonder, we're now at that age. Well, I'm of that age now. Should I be going out and buying copies of the Daily Sport, just not to read, just put it in a wee bush? You know, we kind of like the Lion King Circle of Life kind of thing.
Do they still do boobies in the Daily Sport?
I don't even know if they do the Daily Sport anymore.
Because I know the Sun don't do it anymore.
No.
Here, and the Daily Mail's always full of tits.
There's a topical joke there. So Freddy Krueger, East Belfast, Adam Neeson, standing in the darkened street, dressed like Uncle Andy, looking round to his cousin, who's dressed as Da.
I was really playing dangerous, dressed as a Protestant man in Short Strand. What am I doing here?
So you were, take us back to that street. So you were petrified.
I was petrified. We ended up finding it not that long afterwards.
Right.
But it was still, to this day, those are still there. Those scratches in the bricks.
So at this point, had you seen Nightmare on Elm Street?
No. I talked about this maybe on a previous pod here or on Fright Club. That in Forbidden Planet, when it used to be in the back of Castle Court, they had a cutout of Freddy Krueger. And
I think it was in this pod.
I remember me shitting myself, being like, "Who the fuck's that?" Because Freddy Krueger, when you're a kid, is just it's a thing of nightmares.
It is, because that was another one that comes to mind for me when I think about stuff when I was younger that terrified me. And it's not because I'm going to make this sound like I had lapsed parents. I had just had my mum and dad trust me. My mum would be more protective. My mum, if I mention now, "Mum, I'm going to watch The Exorcist," Mum, "Oh no, you don't want that in your house." Did you watch The Exorcist in this house? Is that, yeah? I'm just going to have to. Mum, I'm a Protestant family. We'll have to get a priest round to bless the house. It's sacrilegious that I won't have that in my house. Well, not at all. No. Like, weirdly, my granny, on the other hand, I've talked before, loved horror. I have vivid memories of her after school coming up and saying, "Do you want to watch The Fog?"
Fucking right.
And it's like, yeah. And we'd watch The Fog, and that scene always creeped me out, because I don't know if it creeped me out, but it definitely creeped my granny. You know, the maggot face in The Fog? I have a vivid memory of that, of my granny kind of, "Oh, I can't watch it, it's been on." And it's like going, "Oh, should I be scared of this? It's just to be maggots in the face." But
I like to think that when you went around your granny's and your granny had the VHS of The Fog, she popped it in and it was just on the scene where Tom Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis had just had sex. She's like, "Sorry, I forgot to rewind it."
Tom Atkins is an attractive man, so he is.
I let him pick me up.
I would definitely hitchhike with him, no bother. But anyway, so I remember, because you say VHS, it was probably just recorded from TV. That's what most of them were. And we would have watched. Dad had Nightmare on Elm Street recorded. And I remember kind of going, "I want to watch this." And I would have been about 8, even if that. But maybe 7, maybe slightly older, maybe 21. And I was like, "I want to watch this. I've never seen this." And Dad was like, "Oh." Because it's hard to explain our house. Kind of like, you come round and there's the door into the passageway that leads you pretty much the rest of the house. There's the living room, then there's the kitchen. And I remember just kind of flinging the door and going, "I want to watch this." And Dad's like, "What is it?" And give him the two. Like, "Oh, you watching that? Don't become crying to me when you're sitting up having nightmares. That's the scary stuff. Don't be." I don't know why he sounds like Marty, but it just happens to be.
He'll probably be here soon.
No. It takes some time. Hang on, I haven't checked the phone.
He's got to close the shop.
Hang on. It just says cutting meat. We'll try and get round.
Oh, fair enough.
So I remember watching it, and it's weird how the stuff you think now, if you were to show that to like a 7-year-old or like a 6-year-old, what you think, like the stuff, like the sequence of I forget the name of the girl.
Nancy?
No, not Nancy's the main one. The girl at the start that gets pulled up to the ceiling.
Oh,
and
Susie.
Then Susie.
That's what I just made up a name.
Dimpna.
You're on the roof, Dimpna.
How'd you get up there? Her getting killed that way, or the stuff with Johnny Depp. The stuff with Johnny Depp and the kind of the getting sucked into the bed. The bit that genuinely gave me nightmares in Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think it's also, if I'm correct, I think it's actually from a nightmare Wes Craven had, is the hands really early on. So maybe that's because it's early on in the film, but it's like when they're walking down the alleyway and you see the hands and the claws, clinging against either side of the wall. It looks shit now.
Yeah.
It looks terrible. It looks like a Stretch Armstrong doll. But genuinely, when I was younger, that gave me proper EBGBs. Scared the shit out of me. Come on, Alan, what next have you got? Come on, give us more recently. Have you had anything that, like, what's the last thing you can remember? I know we've asked that question, and I don't know if we've got many, because I threw it up quite late or quite early this morning, just before we started to record. But what other things? I mean, of recent, can you think of that as probably like, give you the creepy deeps?
Recently, I would say long legs. I think that's the thing that has upset me for days afterwards. even though people like have not overhyped it to the point of like it's scary as fuck. But like genuinely watching it and coming out of it, I was like, I just don't feel well. I seen Smile 2, and for as much as that movie is just a rinse and repeat of the first film,
Is it better than the first? I know we'll probably talk about that more in detail in the Ramble.
my issue with it is that you think it's going to expand on what happened, what kind of is happening in that world, and when they go to expand it, they get scared and just come back and literally repeat the finale of the first one. And then also, do you remember Blumhouse's Truth or Dare?
Yeah, I finally rewatched that not so long ago.
Well, see, the end of that is
Sorry.
the end of that is the end of Smile 2.
Okay.
So it's sort of they're kind of the same movie, but Smile 1 kind of does something interesting with its finale. And then by the time you get to the end of Smile 2, they literally do the same thing. They come back to fucking Truth or Dare. You're like, well, he's had nothing. It's visually an interesting movie. Like I say, recently...
Isn't it Naomi Scott?
Naomi Scott, she's incredible in it. And there is some bits in it that I don't do this often, where I had to look away from the screen because it is quite tense. I was like, oh fuck, because it's going to be like, it's scary. There is one sequence in a bed that fucking took me off guard, and I literally went, oh Jesus. But the movie I'll always go to, it's not even recent, but the movie, if anybody's like, you like horror, what's the scariest movie you've ever seen? I'll always go to Wreck, the 2007 Spanish found footage film, which I think is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Just in the fact that maybe it's because I hadn't really watched many foreign horror films at the time or found footage stuff, but it's so raw and terrifying, and like this could happen. There's never a bit in it that it's like it's raw. Or Wreck 2 sort of gets into the whole like it's fucking the devil sort of thing, but Wreck 1 doesn't really get into anything. It's just this is happening in a building and there's no escape, that you're like, oh fuck.
Because it's been a while since I've seen Wreck, but it's a kind of slow build. There's a sense of growing disorder outside. They're inside the building. Someone's murdered someone.
Yes.
And then everything's kind of starting to build up outside, and then it kind of turns into the raid, almost, that sense that you just have to go up, 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 up.
Yeah.
And then there is a sequence. Yeah, I know. It's too much of a spoiler. There's a Gribbly appears, and it's pretty brown stuff inducing.
They do that thing that most horror movies do, where somebody's like, they're just sick, but they're clearly like have pus all over their face and fucking
He's not well.
spitting blood. We'll get you to that ambulance, sir.
Get your wee COVID jab soon, son. You'll be all right.
But they do that, I think, to the best effect because it is found footage, and it doesn't. Found footage movies, and I've watched a lot over the last few years, often are just normal films that they write, and they're like, we'll make it found footage because that'll make it scarier. This is built up to be a found footage movie.
No, it understands, because you know I've had these points before. There's a film sometimes will be, it's low budget, or this, we'll fucking use found footage as a way around that to excuse things. And because they are low budget and tend to, when they are successful, they make a shitload of money. That's why a lot of them are greenlit. I mean, you think of post-Paranormal Activity, the amount of films came. I remember there was one terrible one. We went to the movie house for a press screening. I think I'm going to say off the top of my head, it was called like The Pyramid or something like that, and it is woeful, terrible. And I remember sitting there, and Terry Kelly, who, when they used to do the press screenings, she'd be coming out, and you know Terry's a very upbeat, enthusiastic. Well, what did you think? Shit. Shit, Terry. And she's like, do you want to go away and think about that before I get in touch with the distributors? No, Terry, I think if you ask me in 2 days' time, a week's time, that was shit. And I always hated being nasty with Terry, but I always had to be honest.
Yeah.
If I didn't like something, and then she would always be like, if I really like something, that she got like a massive essay of an email back. She's like, I'll tell him you liked it. I'll tell him you liked it. But yeah, Wreck's a good one. Wreck's one I haven't thought about for a while. And I remember Wreck 2, they added all that mythology. Wreck 3's the one I've never seen. Is that the one at the wedding?
Yes.
And it kind of starts and then it finishes at a wedding, or is it start at a wedding and then kind of opens out? Or
It opens out and then it sort of leans into they're like, the poster's like girl with a chainsaw wearing a wedding dress, and it leans more into the, this is just our blood and guts. This is what you liked. Whenever the people actually liked the first two were like, we liked the spookiness and the up-close horror of it. I think, because they did the American remake called Quarantine.
Yeah.
And I'm almost certain the Quarantine sequel takes place at an airport.
Yeah, they do their own kind of thing.
Which could have been good. I've never seen it.
I've never seen it. I know, isn't there the sequence in, I'm going to say Day of the Zed. What's the one with Brad Pitt?
World War Z?
World War Z. I knew there was a Z in there somewhere. There's a whole sequence, I think actually is probably one of the stronger moments in the actual film, where there's the outbreak on the plane.
Yeah, that's great. And he like blows up the side of the plane, and it's, for as much as that film has issues,
yeah,
there's one set piece where they get off a plane and then get back on a plane within like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You're like, why did you land? That movie has issues, but I would say out of all the zombie movies in the last 10 years, it did something new.
Well, it did something new in the fact that it tried to mix the Danny Boyle 28 Days with the old classic Romero zombie. Mm-hmm. And it tried to say, well, you've got these super duper fast zombies. And then they say, well, if they don't eat for a while,
yeah,
because we all like to have a good eating now and again, they kind of go into this slower, more, which I thought was clever. Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't read the book. I know I have the audiobook, because the audiobook's very different.
Yeah.
In sorts to the film. Is the sequel going on that? So wasn't the whole talk for a while Fincher was going to direct it, and then that kind of never really materialised?
I think they want to, but the fact that the first movie had so much issues, it's going to take, like, even if Brad Pitt can't get something produced in Hollywood,
yeah,
then it's probably not going to happen. Unless they do it. Well, 28 years later, it's coming out next year, and I think the zombie craze will have a bit of a bump again.
I'm nervous about that because I love the first two films. 28 Days is another one that creeped me out, but it's weird thing with me. I don't know if it's like you. I don't know if we're our tastes in horror. And that's the beautiful thing. Like, people have, it's like film. You can have totally different attitudes towards this and that. But like in 28 Days, as much as it is kind of the stuff, the nasty stuff, and the infected, as they're called, not they're never referred to as zombies. Like the opening sequence in the lab's quite creepy, how quickly everything just kind of, the chaos descends. But the stuff that stays with me is Cillian Murphy, and kind of like, it's kind of been replicated, I guess, with The Walking Dead, when they wake up, when he wakes up and it's
Willie's out.
His Willie's out and it's deserted. Like he's walking through London, and it's like, Jesus, what the fuck have you slept through, mate?
Yeah, and the movements when he goes to the church, the movements of the actor that plays the priest, is incredible.
Yeah, it's a good film. And I quite like 28 Weeks Later. I think Robert Carlyle's amazing in that film.
Yes,
and it's its own thing as much it is 28 Days. So I'm nervous about 28 years later. We'll see. I mean, I'm still going to be there opening night. I know I'm going to see that.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned Wreck. I'm trying to think. I know I've mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm not going to go with Ghostbusters 2 just yet. I mean, listen back to previous pods, but I'm just looking here in the comments. And Paul Rogers, who's messaged in a couple of times to the show, and Paul actually has a great one I didn't think of, but I know it scared the shit out of me. Not really considered horror, but probably Jaws when I was 7, a long time ago, but like myself. As a sleepwalker at the time, it gave me nightmares and had me running around the house, jumping on furniture in my sleep, shouting Jaws was trying to eat me. Didn't traumatise me too much though, as I'd place it in my top 5 films of all time. To be honest though, I'm not much of a modern horror fan, though do love the classics from the 1930s up to the 1980s, and haven't watched any horror movies that have come out since maybe the US version of The Grudge. Paul, you're losing me. 20 years ago, which I found hilarious because it had my wife screaming and jumping in the cinema. Jesus, calm down, Mrs. Rogers.
It's been so long that they've even done a newer remake of The Grudge.
Yeah. And there'll probably be another one. But Jaws is a great one. I mean, I know it's not considered horror, but it, I think, for a lot of people, set the benchmark for jump scare.
It's also the only good shark horror movie.
Well,
We'll talk about Deep Blue Sea.
we'll talk about Deep Blue Sea next month. The Blake Lively one.
Oh, The Shallows.
Yeah, I quite like The Shallows.
But as a film, it's just, I don't know. It's hard to make sharks scary because it's like, just get out of the water. But Jaws is like the anomaly because you have Spielberg behind the camera, and he's pulling every trick out of the book, even though they're like, did you know the shark broke because of the salt water? You know, and then
I'm busting, by the way. If I'm hoping to go to London, I think it's over now. I think it might be on Broadway.
Oh, was it Tour down south?
Oh, don't break my heart and tell me that if I've missed it. But isn't it The Shark Didn't Work, or The Shark Broke Down, and it's Robert Shaw's son?
Yeah.
Stars, and he wrote the screenplay, and then he wrote the play, and stars in it as well. I mean, I would be busting. I know Chris Patterson from Causeway Pictures saw it, and he just thought it was absolutely amazing. I'm busting to see that.
I'm also busting to see Steve Coogan's Doctor Strangelove. That sounds great.
That sounds absolutely fab. But I love the story with Jaws, in the sense that Spielberg, like we think now of recently with Joker, Folie à Deux, when they didn't press screen it, or not press screen, they didn't screen test it with an audience, and Spielberg was kind of watching it, going, I can get one more jump scare. I can get one more jump scare from this. I know there's going to be one. And now the infamous, I think, which for a lot of people set the benchmark. I know there has been great jump scares in cinema history. We think of Psycho and all that kind of sense in the shower scene. But that sequence when they discover the boat and they go underwater, Richard Dreyfuss. Isn't it Richard Dreyfuss goes underwater? And they're rummaging through. Oh, there's a big hole. There's a big tooth. And then... Isn't it Quint? No, it's not Quint. I forget. Oh, God.
No, I want to say Shaw, but it's not. That's
No, I forget the name of the character. Ben Harper. Ben Harper. They discover Ben Harper's head, shall we say. It's fucking brilliant. So that is a great choice from Paul. I can imagine that because, I mean, there was a generation traumatised of sharks.
Yeah.
Purely because of Jaws. So I think it's fair to say that left an imprint. Hello?
Is that somebody at the door?
Hello, hang on, let me go get it here. I don't think it's Marty, though. Hello? Hiya. What? Oh, Jesus. How are you?
Hello, Jim.
Oh, it's your Uncle Liam. Oh, there.
Liam, you want to take a seat?
Oh, this is an unexpected wee Halloween treat. You out looking some teenage girls that have been kidnapped, Liam?
Well, it's funny you say that, Jim. I came back to Belfast. I was up in Ballymena seeing the boys.
That's scary enough, Liam.
And I thought I'd call down to the Big Smoke and see my nephew Adam.
Oh, Jesus, that's good. Because, he never takes your calls anymore.
Well, I've been busy doing The Naked Gun.
I was actually reading, Liam, that you have fallen in love with Pamela Anderson.
Who wouldn't?
Here, Jim, I'll tell you what. See the day I set eyes on her.
Liam, is this a chat now appropriate for your wee nephew?
Are these on? These microphones
Of course
on?
they're not, no.
Oh, good. Right. Adam, cover your ears.
Ears covered.
Jim, see when I seen Pamela Anderson, I said, wow, you are.
Can I uncover my ears yet?
Yes, son. So I thought I'd come down and see you, Jim.
I bet you thought you'd come. What?
When I laugh, I sound exactly like my nephew. That's where we get the laugh from.
It's cute.
You know, I thought I'd come down because it's Halloween And I'm such a great storyteller. I've been sending over my stories the last few months. You haven't been getting them because Adam's phone's been off.
Adam's phone, we've been busy with the festival.
And I record them, but I don't send them. I like to put them in my voice notes, and then when I'm in bed that night, I have a good chuckle to myself.
You're a gig.
But I'll tell you what, here's a wee spooky story for you for Halloween.
Oh, thank you, Liam.
So, I was in a van, and I pissed myself. That's not related to the story. And we were driving along, and I says, we need to stop here. There seems to be some goings on in this haunted building. So me and the gang all bounced out of the van, and we're walking about, and a caretaker came over, and he says, what are you doing here? And we all said, zoinks, Mr. Caretaker. We're here to solve some sort of mystery that might be going on in this building. And the dog that was there at the time, lovely Great Dane, said, ruh-roh. What seems to be the issue?
I'm sorry, Liam. I just didn't expect that from yourself.
So we went into the building, and we all split up, which the big fella with the dog says we shouldn't do. That fucking cunt's always talking about sandwiches. He feeds that dog candy floss every week, and the dog's farting in the back of the fan, and it smells like fucking chewed up carrots. So I say we'll split up, and I say I don't mean to do it every time, but I always get the one with the big jubblies, right?
This is a great story, Uncle Liam.
Do you remember I used to tell you these as a kid?
I did. You always told me about the one where you lived next door to a fella that seemed to be a caveman.
That's right. And he hung out with a load of girls as well. Anyway, so we're going through the house, and there's axes swinging back and forward, and there's a fucking boy in a night suit, and I said, hey, who's the fuck says? I punched him in his head, and his head spun round wild. And your girl fucking bent over. She was going, where's my glasses? And I says, I don't need glasses to see this. Anyway, long story short.
Adam, your uncle, Liam. He's not the charismatic person I thought he once was.
Well, you know, Jim, you get to a certain age and you forget yourself.
I know it well.
So I'm walking down. I pissed myself for a third time. Nothing to do with being scared. Just I'm that sort of man.
I think you need to go to the doctor, Liam.
If you type in Liam Neeson pish, you'll see a picture of me. Just for context, no reason. So I'm walking down, and long story short, we catch your boy because he's fucking about, and we catch him. He gets caught in a big load of ropes, and I take his mask off. You'll never believe who the fuck it was, Jim.
Joe Pesci.
No, I don't know Joe. But it was the caretaker.
No way.
It was I. And fucking the dog starts talking, and I'm thinking to myself, fuck, I must do, these poppers have surely gone off. But anyway, that's the spooky story. Were you scared?
There was definitely an effect on me.
Right.
I think a bit like the comedy. I think you need to, refine it a wee bit more focused. What do you think, Adam?
I thought that was a great story. Classic Uncle Liam story that he told us every Halloween.
Well, guess what? Next Halloween, if this goes over well, I might tell you another one. But also I might see you at Christmas. Anyway, I got to be going because it's Sunday and it's a day of rest. And then on Monday, I'm shooting a new film with Jar Jar Siwa. I know who the fuck that is, but sure. Anyway, Jim, nice to meet you in person.
Nice to meet you too, Liam. I mean, I'm a big fan, but here, I'll show you out. Here.
Thank you very much, right?
Here, come on out. Here,
Liam, son, I'll see you later. And don't forget, next summer, you Naked Gun in cinemas everywhere with the old family honours.
Okay, nice to meet you there. Oh, here's Liam. What about you? What about you, Liam? Oh, for fuck's sake. Back here, bye, George. I didn't expect to see the star bar here. Jim, you texted me there to come over. Just, what about you there?
Well, Marty, I haven't seen you also. I'm surprised you didn't say the Liam about Gangs of New York.
No, it just would have been too. I didn't think it was appropriate there, Adam, to be talking to your uncle there about the fucking mouth. Stack of meat, hot lad, is picked up at that shop.
You didn't smell the pish off him, did you?
Oh, he's stinking, boy. But then I can't say anything, lads. I'm sitting here covered. There's a bit of awful, bit of this, that, and other hanging off me here. Apologies there. There's just a wee bit of cough there just came on. Anyway, how are you, Marty? I mean, Jim, you texted me to come over. It's like, yeah, I just thought we haven't spoke to you in a while. We've been busy over the summer doing this and that and other, and we were doing stuff remotely because I wasn't well. Oh, I heard about that. I told you now, we're eating plenty of the red meat to get better. So, yep, I got the meat parcels. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marty. How's Bobby D and Pesci doing? Oh, they're good. They're good. Keep the shop going. Getting ready for the old Christmas rush. That's when I make my fucking money, Jim. That's when I make my money. But anyway, what did you have old fucking Pesci Pants sneaking in for? Well, he just kind of popped in. I don't really know why, Adam. Had you texted him to come? Did you say him you were doing the Halloween episode?
I did, and he has me on Google Maps because he
will find you.
Yeah, he was afraid that
I sounded awful like you there, Marty. Oh, well, he will find you. He fucking doesn't know where to fucking find his way to the fucking shop to pick up the meat. Look, calm down. You can go talk to him outside anyway.
He is afraid that I will get kidnapped by Bolivians, so he has me on Google Maps just in case.
He keeps that with all his family.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bit controlling for me and my own humble opinion now. But Marty, yes, we had a wee ghost story from Uncle Liam. Right.
Spooky it was.
Right, what it was, I think he might have pissed himself again, but I just thought, Castle Street, you must have kind of over the years seen some scary stuff, fuck. I tell you, I have seen some fucking scary things, and that's not even just Yazzie Kangle. Like, I know, but have you ever had anything supernatural happen in the shop? What do you mean, like fucking Liam fucking picking up on his meat finally fucking... But no. Like, scary. Well, Adam, are you of a nervous disposition?
I can be. You are covered in blood at this point, so on edge is what I would say I am now.
Funny, Pesci, I was leaving the shop, he said, you should clean yourself up. You look like that old Texas chainsaw fella walking around. But people have seen stranger things in Castle Street. Well, I'll tell you this, boys. Many years ago, when I was a younger man, in my mid-70s, I was sitting in the shop one night, and it was just me, Bobby D, and Pesci had just left. I don't know what he was talking about, going playing golf or something, or going looking, I don't know. And it was just me and Bobby D sitting in the back of the shop. And we were just sitting thinking about the day that was. And from out of nowhere, the wee bell in the shop, the wee door, just rang. Right? What's happened? Went out and had a wee look, and we're sitting there. We had the wee mug of tea. I near fucking spilt it all round me. Went round. I was going to tell whoever it was that the shop was closed, and fucking raging that Pesci hadn't locked the door. Well, I went round. Not a sinner there, Adam.
Uh-huh.
Not a sinner to be seen. I was kind of going like, for fuck's sake, is it the wind? Went out and checked that the door was fucking locked. I was going, Jesus, this is fucking spectacular here, happening in Castle Street. So I went back and I said, Bobby, you must have been hearing something. Must have been something that old Google and the old what iPhone or whatever fucking it is he's fucking playing about with. He's always texting them younger women. And I was sitting down, getting ready to, go upstairs, because, I live up above the shop.
Of course.
I live above the shop in the good old days. Bobby D, he rents the wee room at the back of the shop. Fucking bell goes again. I'm going, what the fuck's on here? So, walk back out and turn the light on. And there's a strange fucking smell. Strange smell in that shop.
Liam back?
Just you're wild, your Uncle Liam, hi. You do one wee photo of, yourself pissing your pants and the fucking Cosmopolitan, whatever it is, hello, everything has it in the front cover, and they're like, I felt sorry for that, but no, you're distracting me from the fucking story, Adam, here. So I'm sitting here going, I can't see anything. And I heard this noise coming from behind me. I was just like I was like, fucking hell, has Bobby D stood in something, or fucking what's going on here? And this howling, it was very sad. that noise. And Bobby D puts his head through and he says, that's the fucking Banshee. That's the fucking Banshee. Because he'd been up all the night before watching Darby O'Gill and the Little People. And I said to myself, now, Bobby D, you've got to calm down, son. I mean, I think, you were having too much sugar at your age and too much of that riding around them young cuddies. They can't be fit for it. But I couldn't explain it. There's just this sound, this howling from inside the shop, but there was nobody there. Jesus, Marty, my fucking... I don't know about you, Adam, but my fucking hairs are standing on end here.
I am doing what my uncle does.
I was kind of going like, this is wild. This is like midnight on fucking Hallows Eve, Castle Street. There's ringing, there's howling. And then we realised that the pub out in front of us had just let out. And it was old fucking Hanks. He was fucking out. And all you could fucking hear from him was growling and howling. Because he was just going on about hard chocolate. And it's like, for fuck's sake. That wasn't a very good story, Marty. There was a lot of build-up there, a lot of style. Well, thank you very much. I'm a good bit of a storyteller, a bit like the old nephew in fucking Hollywood. And the other one that's in the real Hollywood with 2 L's. Or 1 L, whatever fucking well. I'm a wee bit dyslexic. But it started well. What do you think, Adam?
I thought you were going to go down the Banshee Bones crisps route.
Oh, Jesus, I love a wee pack of Banshee Bones, aye. Jesus. Oh, you can't beat that. See, when you're sitting there cutting old fillet steaks, I like just sitting one hand with a big fillet knife, just chopping away, another hand just fucking filling my face full of fucking Banshee bones. And sometimes you put the bones in from the calf and back, and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Surely they get you sweating.
Oh, Jesus, not nearly as sweating as the LKP nuts, like, but oh, Jesus. Oh, Adam, I had to lay off the LKP nuts because it was getting sore.
What happened to him?
Getting sore on him.
What are you?
I went through a 2 kilo pack of KP nuts. I was sitting watching, what was that I was watching? Married at First Sight with the missus. We were sitting watching it, and Bobby D was there with some young old slip of a thing, and Pesci, we were sitting at the front of the TV and we were sitting watching, and I went through a 2 kilo pack, and I'm not joking at him. It was sore when I had to go to the old bathroom.
What, you making your own Snickers?
You're a funny lad, but see, until it's happened, Adam, it's all right. See, when you're a young lad, you can pass whatever. You can fucking pass a brick if you need to. See, when you get to an older age and you can feel your own mortality when you're trying to push one of them fucking nutty things through you.
Was it like your arsehole was reading Braille?
That's enough of that talk here. I suppose I should go. Jim, I feel awful like, I think, to be honest, I think you've wasted my time coming. I thought there was something important. I thought you were going to... Well, actually, Marty, since we're on for Halloween, because from tomorrow, November, Mariah Carey is officially de-thawed, is going to be getting up to Christmas. We thought maybe, since we had you in, Adam and I were going to ask you, would you be in our Christmas special again this year? Oh, for fuck's sake, not... That fucking Muppet shit that you did last year. Like, it was really well. Adam, you wrote the script. It went really well.
It's actually a special assignment this year because we're sending you to Los Angeles, Marty.
Oh.
To a building in downtown LA called Nakatomi Plaza.
Would Europa Hotel not do?
Let me just check the budget. We can do the Belmont.
Oh, it's good. There's a good carvery on a Sunday, the Belmont does. So, aye. Right, okay. So, is that what you're saying to me? I'll get a night in the Belmont with, can I say the Pesci and Bobby D? Can they come? I'm
almost certain they'll most likely make an appearance.
Brilliant. I'll say to them then to come, and as long as we all get a carvery lunch the next day and a wee voucher for a phone a cab, we'll be all right.
Do you know who Uncle Andy is?
Uncle Andy? No, I don't know. You have to tell me who Uncle Andy is now.
It's alright, I'm sure you'll meet him at Christmas.
Okay, well, lads, look, I don't feel I was wasted my time. As long as I get a bit of money now at Christmas time from that wee special, because it did do wonders for the old shop now. Anyway, but I'm gonna go see if I can catch your Uncle Liam here before he fucking heads back to fucking Ballymena. I can see him there through the glass, or he's still looking at a photo. It looks like Pamela Anderson, and all I can see is going wee fucking what? Anyway, here, Adam, nice to see you again.
Hey, Marty.
Come on, here, Adam. I'll just Marty, I'll just let you out. Okay, bye, Marty. More.
See you Christmas.
Fucking hell.
You have to start locking that door.
Oh, fucking hell. Adam first, Liam, fucking Marty next. Who else is going to be in this Halloween spectacular? Spooktacular, we might say. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, Jaws.
I don't know how we got detracted. No. I'm all fumbled because the boys came in, messed me up. Have we any other messages on the socials, though, Jim?
Oh, on the socials, let me see here. I think the lovely Dr. Nicole Hamilton has messaged in. So she says, I had never seen this, and I was a bit confuddled when I was reading this out. So I'll read it out. So the last 15 minutes of horror and high desert really got me. The rest of the film's a bit boring and doesn't have that much going on for it. But that last sequence, I jumped out of my skin multiple times. Well, you should be going to a doctor if you're jumping out of your skin. So the horror in the high desert, have you seen this?
I know of it. I haven't seen it. I think there's a couple of them. Spooky faux mockumentary type.
Okay.
Spookiness. But I look forward to watching them. If Dr. Nicole has recommended it, I'm in.
Dr. Nicole, we're always on board with what Dr. Nicole says. What can I say? I don't actually think at this stage of any other that I can see.
Well, we have from the Arspert.
Oh, have we got the Arspert?
The Arspert, Joe McElroy, of course, has said the birthday party scene in Signs.
Yeah, that is something that always comes up. I never had that. It didn't scare me, but I kind of sat watch it with a big grin on my face because I was like, oh, it's probably because I was a bit older. I was like, oh, that's quite good.
Vámonos.
Signs is a film Al M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong has went a bit off and on over the last few years. And Signs is a movie I really want to revisit, but at the time, as much as I enjoyed it, and I think there's so many good bits in Signs, there's also bits that annoy the fuck out of me in that film. It's like all the kind of get all the loose threads. Like Joaquin Phoenix, doesn't he want to be a baseball player?
Or he was a baseball player.
He was a baseball player, and he's now struggling. He basically, without spoiling the movie too much, as I spoil the movie, there's in the final sequence, he has a vision of his wife, and she's like, bat away or something.
Swing away, Meryl.
And you're just like, all right, okay. And the fact that, as I said, my lovely wife is a little girl from Signs, because she just leaves fucking glasses of water all around glasses of tea, coffee, everywhere around the house. And isn't it, they're allergic, they have a reaction to water?
Yes.
And it's like, okay, it's a film I want to watch, because I think there's bits of it I think are fab. Because other movies, like the last part we were talking about, The Terrifier. Because funny, I mentioned that to my lovely wife. She was I said, what's the last film that properly creeped you out? And she said, Terrifier. The first one. She was and she just found it, the sense that it was weird and creepy, and that Art the Clown was creepy. She found him creepy, and the fact that she didn't really like the film, but that sense you could just be walking down a street and there's Art just, hello. Well, he wouldn't be saying a honka honka. And if you're around Belfast last night, there was a few Art the Clowns about the place. But yeah, Signs, yeah, I want to rewatch it, but I know I'm going to have all those same problems, going to love all bits of it, and then I'm going to be like, oh, it's a bit silly.
It just reminds me of the bit in Scary Movie 3 where the policewoman's hat just keeps getting bigger and bigger from scene to scene.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. Signs, to me, like you say, a lot of good stuff. I think the Mel Gibson Christian wife died.
Yeah.
Sort of M. Night Shyamalan killed her by accident. Sort of side plot doesn't work that well. No. But as like a suspenseful, like, thriller, I think it's great. Joaquin's great in it. The kids are great in it. Is it young Rory Culkin? Mm-hmm. Is the boy? Because the Culks are everywhere now. They're back. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Signs. I'm a big ride or die man for M. Night, so I'll not have a bad word said against him.
I mean, I like his back catalogue. I love the fact that he can go out there and make terrible projects, and then he can kind of just come back, not unashamedly, but will be given the opportunity to come back. I know for a little while I think he pushed that maybe a bit too much with too many flops after flops. I think The Last Airbender tested a lot of people's patience, and you kind of think of, what's the name of the film? The Happening?
The Happening, yeah.
When you have that sequence, hey, it's me, Mark Wahlberg. I'm talking to a plant. I'm still talking to a plant. I'm in a room. No one else here. I'm talking to a plant. And you're like, fuck up, Mark. At that sequence, I remember that sequence going like, okay, this is... Because I know I'm taking the piss, but he actually says, I'm talking to a plant. I'm still talking to a plant.
Yeah.
And you're like, come on, fuck up. And then he kind of went off and did... what was the one with the... When they visited their grandparents... their grandparents.
The Visit?
Yeah, The Visit. I thought The Visit was fab.
That's great.
Which is found footage. It's not found footage, but it's kind of shot...
It's like
there's bits of it are used handheld camera, don't they?
Yeah, it's the kids are like filming their weekend away, and because the kid does a little rap.
Yeah,
do you remember over the credits? I remember going to see The Happening with my dad, and we like the first like half an hour of it. Don't like people like jumping off buildings and stuff, and like they get to the bit where they're driving down, and people are hanging from the trees. Yeah. It's fucking horrific.
Yeah,
and then I remember I don't mean to body shame, but there's a bit where there's a group of them and there's just this one fat girl that's like running through a field and the wind is like pushing the grass. And I turned to my dad and just went, the bad guy's the wind. And my dad just went, I know. Like we both went, that's fine shit.
I know, I like the idea of it. I like the fact, because isn't it like the bad guys, it's not, well, the bad guy's not wind, it's stuff from the trees, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the earth.
The wind is just wind is like the kind of. It's like there's Bill and Stu, so from Scream, just for that now. So the trees are like Billy, and the wind is Stu. I'm woozy here. Anyway, sorry, I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah, The Happening. I kind of really want to watch that because I just know I remember once it gets to a kind of certain point, it's like it's testing my patience with it, and I don't think it works. It's like. That's an interesting idea. I just don't think it resolves itself.
Yeah.
Because that's one of those things. You talk about that, and I kind of started that comment before I kind of digressed myself, then you took away. Films where you get really creeped out, and then it's like someone just puts a bubble or, pops the balloon. I talked about that a couple of weeks ago with Jeepers Creepers. Terrified. I remember in the cinema, I think I said at the time when we were talking about Terrifier, in the cinema with a mate Ryan, we'd just come up, I think it was our first year at Queen's, Dublin Road, watching it. There's old stuff for the truck and everything. It's like going, Jesus, what's going on? They find all the bodies. What the fuck's this guy doing? Once it's creepy winged monster, boom, I'm not scared anymore. Another one, I remember being uber creepy, and I feel just before I mentioned the movie, although the movie title has mentioned this reference, anytime this film comes up, I have to say this out loud. Affleck, you're the bomb in Phantoms.
Hell yeah.
The Phantoms, right? I remember that film really properly creeped me out, and then it kind of, so all this stuff, creepy stuff's happening in the town, and it's been a while since I've seen it. There's a sequence, I think, where a load of people in suits get killed, and then they kind of come back to life, and they're all kind of talking as one voice, and then it just kind of resolves itself in a bit of a meh.
Yeah.
It's like Stephen King's It. I mean, a lot of people... I had read the book years ago. It was one of those big Stephen King bulky reads. And you were like, they're not going to do the kid orgy. And in the film version, they're not going to do that. And it's like, that just doesn't work. I don't like... I remember at the time reading it and kind of going, oh, Stephen. But it's like... When you don't know what Pennywise is, and then once it's revealed what Pennywise is, it's why It Part 1 works really well because it cherry-picked everything and decided not to reference anything at all about the fact that it's an alien or a being from another dimension. The fact that then all that got through on It Part 2 meant that it was a really meh film. It still had creepy moments in It Part 2. But, yeah, I mean, there's a film, you know, once you, it's a big, scary spider. As much as I'm scared of spiders. Arachnophobia, there's another film with a previous podcast. I talked about being properly scared shitless. You watch it as an adult and you were just like, Jim, come on.
Stand on them.
Just stand on them. Apart from that big spider that holds a grudge. Listen back to previous podcast. I don't know. I think we're kind of, because the fact is a bit rambly and we've had a bit, not one but two digressions. I think we should maybe wrap this up. It has been a bit of a ramble. Halloween spooktacular. We've went from Uncle Andy, Freddy Krueger, Pishy Pants himself, your Uncle Liam, Bloodstain, Marty, and now here we are just kind of going, how the fuck do we bring this to a close?
Hold on, I'll bring it back. Uncle Andy as Freddy Krueger. This is God.
Adam, what's the name of the actor who plays Uncle Andy?
Martin Reed.
Okay, I think what we should do, every week now, we should find an iconic movie scene and say, this is a role that Martin Reed went for. And they decided, after he read that iconic scene, they were going to go in a different direction. So I think you've just given us a perfect example. So Martin Reed, a lot of people know this, famously applied to be Freddy Krueger.
He actually got the role, and then whenever they were like, you're going to have to wear prosthetics, he's like, no, give it to that.
No?
Give it to that English fella. And they went, do you mean Robert Englund? And they went, you stupid.
Was it David Shaw, or what was the actor as well that was nearly Freddy Krueger as well?
Yes. Was it David Shaw?
David Warner.
David Warner, yes.
David Warner. So it went from
Martin Reed, David
Warner, Robert Englund.
Yeah. Always a bridesmaid.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, any last kind of things you want to talk about just as we go with Halloween? I know that us banter boys and banter girls are going to be rocking up and down the Lagan. We don't need a bubble to go up and down the Lagan. We've got the Belfast Barge at our Rocky Horror / Shock Treatment screening. Tickets possibly still available if you're listening to this before 7 o'clock.
Yep.
On Halloween night.
On down.
Come on down for a wee party. Adam has his suspenders on.
Oh.
What would you be throwing on tonight? Are you going with the cliche, watching John Carpenter's Halloween, maybe a bit of Season of the Witch as well, which I think is another one that sequence, there's one I'd forgotten about. That sequence when the first time you realise what the actual master plan, and there's a little kid, cute little kid. I think is it a boy and girl, or is it just a kid? It's just a boy.
It's just a boy with a pumpkin mask.
Just watching a nice wee TV show, and then it goes horribly wrong.
But snakes.
It's like, yeah, that was something that gave me the EBGBs when I was younger.
I usually watch Halloween very late at night on Halloween night, which I suspect if we're doing Shock Treatment, I will be doing this year. I do like to watch it.
Do you just watch one, or do you just throw on two as well? You know, to see more of the night he came home.
Just to see, is it Ben Tramer getting fucking emptied by a car?
Yeah. And the disco version of the Halloween theme.
Oh, fucking banger! See the Halloween openings with like the pumpkins and like the skull coming through in the second one. Still the best one. It's great. I don't know. I have a soft spot for the 2018 one. I know people have problems with it, and I do. Controversial, but Jim McMorrow will be here holding my hand. I love Halloween Ends. Not Evil Days Tonight, but Halloween Ends with my boy Corey.
Yeah, look. So we recently had Leo on the show talking about Braxton, which I think is a slasher, locally made slasher. Next year celebrates its 10th anniversary. I wanted to do the interview with Leo just because we were talking about Haunted Ulster Live, and it just reminded me a lot of Braxton, one of those earlier slashers. And I think it's important that we don't forget those, that they have laid a lot of the stones for where we are now.
Maybe somebody next year is making a slasher in Belfast.
Oh.
I'm winking at you, Jim.
Oh. Liam Neeson.
Say nothing.
But Leo and I were talking after the recording, and we were talking about the 3 remakes, or the 3 sequels by David Gordon Green. And I said, and you might think it's controversial, or you might think your thought's controversial, I think Halloween Ends is what Halloween 2018 should have been.
Yeah.
Because it does a really interesting idea, but never really gets its teeth into it. That idea of like the town of Haddonfield, and how not just Laura Strode, but how a whole town has been impacted, and the legacy that has left. And I know if you've ever read what's the Taking Shape, and there's Taking Shape Part 2, all the various sequel ideas that never got made. I think that's Taking Shape Part 2, where they talk about literally at one point where Haddonfield is a town where Halloween is banned. They don't want to discuss it. They are so traumatized. There's an interesting idea. I know it maybe doesn't necessarily work, but my favourite scene in those 3 for new films is a sequence, and it's just a throwaway scene. It's when Laura Strode's walking out of the supermarket. And there's a woman just turns going, "What are you smiling for? Look what you've done to this town." You're like, yes, there's what you should have done. And plus, at the start of Halloween Ends, there's that great opening sequence, which with the nods even to Season of the Witch, with the blue Halloween font.
And the great practical, what do you call him, Dr. Loomis?
Yeah.
What are it's not CGI, it's a mask.
Yeah.
Great.
I do like Halloween Ends. I know if Joe McElroy was here, he will bring up again that I was famously duped, and takes the piss out of me for the fact that there's kind of Corey and Michael team up on a kill.
Yeah.
And now, here's the thing, listeners. I famously thought that Michael and Corey sped together away on a bike in Halloween Ends.
Like Corey had his arms around. No, Michael had his arms around Corey.
Yes. Now, Joe McElroy thinks that's from a fake photograph that he sent into our little WhatsApp group. And it's like, yeah, I remember that. And I know that photograph is a fake. I'm not that thick. I'm thick on a lot of days. Like today I'm struggling with cold, and I have to go and present or introduce not 1 but 2 movies today on day 2 of the festival. But I have a vivid memory. That's not the sequence I vividly remember. There's a sequence where they're actually, it's not a photo, but it's like it's Corey is driving on a bike, and I was nearly 100% certain Michael was on the bike with him.
No, it's the guard that's on the bike with him.
Oh, okay.
And
Maybe that.
Someone's photoshopped on Michael instead of your guard.
Oh, I think we should put it up in the Bandflix socials. There's a photograph.
Should we do a recreation of us? Can you put our faces on? I'll do it. I'll put our faces on that photo.
You can do it. I don't know if you want me to recreate the thing because I'm dosed with a cold. I am dosed with a cold, and I do not want to raise suspicion with your lovely girlfriend. That's like, why have you got the cold all of a sudden? I think we've massively went off topic. Unless you're going to say to me you were genuinely creeped out by Halloween Ends. No.
I don't think there is.
No, actually, I remember now. We were talking about what would you be watching.
Oh, yes. Halloween, maybe Halloween Ends.
Resurrection?
Oh, fuck no. Wreck is too scary. It is one of those movies that's like too scary. Another movie that's too scary for me to watch is Possum. I love Possum.
That's the creepy mask in the bag.
Matthew Holness of Garth Marenghi fame. I know writers that use subtext and they're all cards. It's a little scene horror movie that if you're looking for not your usual horror movie, check out Possum tonight.
Possum's good. I might suggest, if you haven't watched Hocus Pocus, we screened it, watched it last night, and actually, because I came back, and because when I do events, I find it really, I can never enjoy our events on the night. That's why people, when if they speak to me, they go, he seems really intense. I'm not on coke. I'm just like on edge that something's going to go horribly wrong. There's going to be a fire. There's going to be something, and I guess I have this fear post the whole Willy Wonka gate in Glasgow. It's like, fuck, you charge us £12. You promised us a disco. There was one lady who complained that we didn't play Taylor Swift. It's like, well, not really Halloween. The Halloween disco. Has she done a Halloween song? No. I did at one point when I was on the decks. I did play a bit of Assault on Precinct 13.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, there's a banger of a tune. And this girl, what is this? What is this? And the lovely Joe McElroy, the R-Spirit, was like, Jim, you and I are the only people that knows what that is. And I was going to have a whole plan to do a whole kind of medley of Halloween horror movie themes. And I went, nah, just play Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys. And then I threw in, just because one for the kids, well, not for them, just because it's, released not too long ago, but at NSYNC, Bye Bye Bye. Isn't that the one from Deadpool? I threw in that. But after the screening, because as I say, I was starving. Went and had a wee McDonald's. The wee £5 meal.
Bit the burgers, the chips, the drink, and
Nugs, got that. And I was like, I came home, and Amber was like, how'd it go? Because she'd came for a while, and then she's like, I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna stay for the disco. And actually, big shout out to my lovely wife who dressed up as the little girl in Hocus Pocus, who turns round to the Sanderson sisters at one point when they're trick or treating, going, bless you. And she was very pleased that two people got the reference. Nice. The lovely Victoria Brown, possibly because I had maybe hinted at what it might be. Mm-hmm. And then there was a girl during the screening, who was a bit blutered when the girl says, on screen, the little girl says, bless you. She turned around and to Amber went, that's you? It's just like, Amber's like, yeah. But after, by the way, my wife has a blonde. Woof. She got a little blonde wig. I was like, bring that home with you tonight, love. But afterwards, we went and watched Hocus Pocus 2. Because I didn't like Hocus Pocus 2 when I watched it the first time. I still think it's a bit meh.
Did you like the Walgreens product placement?
Yeah, there was a lot of... Actually, talk about product placement. I'd forgotten in Hocus Pocus, one of the most blatant bits of product placement when... what's the young boy? I should know this. I watched this last night. The young guy...
Gonna say Rick.
Rick Moranis. He opens up a cupboard, and there's just like 20 tins of 7-Up.
Hell yeah!
Just sitting there, and you're like, okay, talk about product placement and a half. But Hocus Pocus 2, because I know we reviewed it before. I think it was Maria and Victoria were on it. And also, I always say at this point, there was another one of the infamous pods that never was, because the lovely Therese, one half of Banderflix Sleuth Sisters, and I, in this very studio, did a chat about Hocus Pocus 2 that unfortunately I lost through various convoluted means. But I was very unkind about that film. I still think it's very meh, and it's very much let's do as many musical numbers as we can. But having played some of the songs from Hocus Pocus 2 in my little stint as DJ Jim, I was like, they're bangers. They actually are good tunes. So maybe I'm a bit more lukewarm to Hocus Pocus 2. You clearly don't like it.
No, it's shit.
It doesn't hold a candle.
To be fair,
it doesn't hold a black flame candle to the original.
To be fair, I don't like Hocus Pocus.
Oh, hang on. How, as we wrap up this pod, do you drop that in? You really don't like Hocus Pocus?
No, it does my fucking head in.
Get very quickly, Adam, and Adam Neeson quickly. That's a good R.
Yeah.
So, very quickly, as you know, there's one listener probably has just fainted.
Victoria?
Yeah. Because, this is the point where the lovely Victoria Brown, who I said to the lovely Victoria Brown last night, our resident Disney queen, there was a point where I was like, I don't need to have this film on. She was standing at the back alongside Joe, and just word for word, every line was just like, just talking away. And I was like, I could just get you up on the stage just to reenact this.
That would be good.
Yeah.
I like that, just inside for the listeners, Victoria, before in our WhatsApp group, asked if we had a kettle, and in my mind, I thought she wanted one because she wanted a pot noodle.
Pot noodle, or Joe and I thought maybe we hot whiskey. Do you think that just want a wee hot water bottle?
But yeah, Hocus Pocus, not for me. Didn't grow up on it. They're all annoying. Bette Midler great in it, and I actually think it's probably Sarah Jessica Parker's best role after Ed Wood.
I have such a... There's something wrong with me when Sarah Jessica Parker's on in that film.
Because she looks fit.
Because you're just like... I don't know, because when I watch Hocus Pocus 2, I'm like, I don't think Sarah Jessica Parker's hot. Although she was kind of hot and stuff. Isn't she in like Flight of the Navigator?
Yeah.
And stuff when she was kind of the young teenage Sarah Jessica Parker, and you're like, oh, she's lovely. I could go and buy her candy. And with Hocus Pocus, you're just like, yeah, you'd show me a bad time. You'd be the type of girl I could never bring home to my mum.
Yeah, like the type of girl that would get away with vehicular manslaughter. I think a Hocus Pocus is
technically her husband.
I don't know. I was trying to brush over that.
Do you ever think on Matthew Broderick just like coming around Halloween time? He's like, Sarah, go get the outfit. I would be 100% in that.
He puts a lump of coal in her arse. So in about 20 minutes, I'll be a diamond. Yeah,
she's like, I'll dress up as the Sanders. Isn't it Sarah she is? And I forget which one of this is. I should know this. We watched this last night. She's like, I'll dress up as the Sanderson sister. You dress up as Ferris Bueller. What a weird little sex game that would be.
Or
and there'd just be someone outside as they're having sex. It'd be that actor going, Bueller. Bueller.
I was just thinking of him as the evil Inspector Gadget. The fucking fake teeth. But
love that film.
But so do I. But Hocus Pocus, was that 99? What were we talking
93.
about? No, it wasn't 93.
93.
Inspector Gadget.
Oh no, Inspector Gadget. Oh sorry, I thought you meant Hocus Pocus.
Oh no. Because I had the McDonald's toys. Right, we're getting distracted because we're trying to wrap this up.
You don't like Hocus Pocus?
Hocus Pocus, shit. Don't like it. Never grew up with. Watched it in the last 10 years. Thought, don't get the appeal.
Even the costumes and the set design, all that stuff. Sure. Is it just the fact you're like, they're just dancing about and fucking about behind the friend's house? Or where the friend's fountain should be?
It's just the whole Disney movie aesthetic that I don't like. It's the same with Halloween Town, and love Mick Garris, the writer, and we'll go to bat for him, but it's just not for me. And then when Hocus Pocus 2 came out, I was just like, this is just more of the same shit.
Yeah, it's more stage play, Hocus Pocus. I think we'll bring that on. I think we'll bring the pod to an end on that note. And I know that as it's Halloween, I will bring the pod on a close on that note. And I think since it's Halloween night, I do fear that Old Mickey Mouse, Adam might be round to your house this evening and do your kneading. above the knee or below the knee, punk.
I'm thinking about oh no, it's Steamboat Willie Dibner.
And this was the pod that was once about movies that has now increasingly become 90% Give My Headpiece. On next week's episode, we will be discussing various things in 1999, along with episode 1, series 1 of Give My Headpiece.
Imagine we got Nuala McKeever in here. See Marty Reid, who plays Uncle Andy, not on the Give My Headpiece podcast. I wonder if he'll do ours.
I think we could.
But it's just an hour and a half of he's going, yeah, I'm a really I'm a thespian actor, you know, I love doing the boards. Do you like going to the deep breakers?
I'm sure there's people who tuned in for this going, I would love to know what movies scared Jim and Adam when they were younger, and yet they've just been treated to this. So that's us for this Halloween
semi-ramble.
Fucking full-blown ramble.
It is the end of the month.
It is the end of the month. Then we'll our November of 99, and then we're into Christmas season, and we now know Marty has agreed to don his thespian cap again and act for us in the Christmas special.
What a man.
What a man. What a legend that man is. Just going to text him. Just go, you are a legend. He just sent back a dot.
He's old.
He's at that page. Oh wait, what else have I got? Oh, just a U. It's like, all right, dot U. Okay, thanks Marty. So anyway, thank you for listening. I assure you, listeners, there will be more coherent pods.
No, there won't.
There will be more coherent pods in this where we actually discuss movies, less pissy Neeson, more meeting Scorsese.
Do you know what's funny? There's been, I think, 2 times we've talked on a podcast about, like, properly got in the film, like properly discuss film, and both the times have been lost. So that's the universe telling us that we need to talk about doing pee-pees and poo-poos.
Yeah, that says more about if we know what our listeners want, they want more of this shite. So yes, so thank you very much for listening. More importantly, hopefully you've all had a fantastic Halloween so far. Whatever you're doing tonight on Halloween night, have a fun time, a safe time. Hopefully you won't meet Art the Clown, or even more terrifying, Adam Neeson staggering back from the Belfast barge at 11 o'clock in the evening dressed as Uncle Andy.
Yeah.
Uncle Andy from the top, suspenders from the bottom. And
I'm a sweet transvestite now.
Another role he, just missed out on with Tim Curry. Who have we got up for this role? Martin Reed or Tim Curry? Okay, Tim, give us a. I'm a sweet transvestite. Oh, yeah, that's such gusto. Okay, it's going to be a tough one. Martin?
I leave you wee bit of anticipation, Dimna.
Tim, you've got the role. Okay, apologies for as I cough and splutter over that joke. So that is us. As I say, have a happy Halloween. Thank you for listening. If you've got this fucking far, you fool. If you've enjoyed this nonsense, be sure to subscribe. Check out our YouTube channel where you can find previous episodes, not just of this, but Crime Scene to Screen, the Disney pods. Check the website. I think that's going to be the mission for 2025. Start getting regular content back onto the written content onto the website. But hey, said that in 2024, and I said that in 2023. What can I say? I'm like Donald Trump. I'm a man of my word. I'm going to make Banderflix great again. So, yeah. Check the website out. Check the podcast. There's a TV show that's going to still be going until at least Christmas. We might this year keep it going into January. We don't know because we're a little bit later back coming this year. But anyway, that's enough of that. As I say, whatever you're doing for Halloween, have a fun and safe one. Hopefully, if you've any doggies, make sure they're all secured. Doggies, cats, if the fireworks are going off. And yeah, so all that's left for me to say now, in the style of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, happy Halloween! 9-9!
Bye-bye.
Bye.